This exotic right here is extremely cool. It's a very, very well thought out weapon on Bungie's end. Very intelligent way they put it together. It's big brain. I'm still wrapping my head around it. Do me a favor, like, comment, tell your friends, share this video, because there's a certain way it's meant to be used, and it's crazy. I don't want this thing getting a bad rap. It's too early for that. The goal here is to show you exactly how it works and how it's supposed to be used. PvE, PvP, and yes, I do believe 100% it can be used in higher content. GMs. I'm going to show you how and why. Collective Obligation is the new raid exotic. It has a chance to drop at the end of the final boss encounter in the new raid, drop at the end of killing the boss. So think Vex, Terraball, 1000 Voices. You might get it your first try like I did, or your 100th try like I'm still trying to get my 1000 Voices. It's a Void 390 RPM pulse rifle. It's Void, so before I begin, let's all get on board and agree that Void 3.0 is nuts in PvE. Everyone's all over volatile rounds, weaken, suppression. It's Season of the Void, very, very strong. Let's establish that. The trait is Umbral Sustenance. This weapon's magazine is automatically reloaded when you gain Devour, a Void Overshield, or become invisible. Each class individually does this very well. If one of those things is up, it's returning ammo to the magazine. There's a small cooldown in between sometimes, but the Titan Overshield, the moment you throw down the Bastion Barricade, it refills. As long as the Overshield is still up, it refills. The shield throw that gives a little chunk of overshield, it reloads. Same deal, small cooldown, but as long as it's up, it's throwing ammo in. Even One-Eyed Mask, and that includes the Crucible. Get a kill on the Vengeance target, it's going to start the overshield, it's going to refill the mag. Warlock, it's vibing with Devour, you get a grenade final blow, and can live in that constant state of Devour. And after every kill, Devour reprocs, and when it does that, it refills the magazine. So if the enemies are there, it is endless. It's very good with the Void Lock. For the Hunter, I'm getting a little help here from the volatile rounds. Remember, with Stylus Execution, defeating enemies that are weakened, volatile, suppressed, it grants invisibility and true sight, or you can throw the smoke at your feet to become invisible. So all those kills, as you see, it's refilling the magazine. All of these interactions, Devour, invisibility, overshield, these will refill the magazine when they come up, even if the weapon is stowed. It's like right here, I have the rocket out, smoke at my feet. When I pull the pulse back out, the magazine is reloaded. These three things are important. I'm going to circle back to them. They're crucial, actually. The exotic intrinsic trait is Void Leech. This weapon leeches void debuffs when damaging targets that are suppressed, weakened, or volatile. Once charged, hold reload to swap firing modes, and in this mode, damage from this weapon applies the same void debuffs that were leeched. A real quick side note, personal note here, the screen real estate on this thing is a little busy. It's a very big site, but I can look past that. This thing's great. There's something very important to know about the activation. When we look at the reticle, we have 4 nodes. One big one at the bottom, and then 3 nodes on the bottom right. These 3 nodes represent the debuffs that you have leeched. And the bottom one is that the leech is ready to be converted. So those bottom right 3 from top to bottom. Top right is suppression, middle is weaken, bottom is volatile. And again, the big bottom one is the perk is ready. Any target that's hit with a debuff, the moment that you hit them, the weapon will leech it. Like right here with the Titan Suppressor, throw the suppressor, first bullet hits, the top right node lights up. But you notice the perk isn't ready. Or say you pick up a well, or use the new fragment, you pick up some volatile rounds. The moment that you hit the volatile round, it's going to leech it, it's going to store it on the weapon. And Hunter has a really easy weaken to show you guys with the smoke bomb. Again, though the smoke bomb, they're weakened at that point, they're debuffed. First bullet, it will leech weaken. To actually charge the leech, to convert it, 9 bullets need to land on debuffed targets. It doesn't matter what the debuff is, 3 full bursts need to land, 9 bullets. And this can go in sections as well. Like on Hunter, I throw the weaken, I land a burst. So I leeched weaken. Time goes by, I use the suppressor grenade. As soon as they're suppressed, I just lay into them. Well, the first bullet did leech suppression. Now I have 2 of them, and the following 6 bullets do fully charge it. It already had 3 previously. At that moment, it's going to say on the screen that Void Leech is charged, and on the weapon itself, that bottom node will be fully lit up. When you hold reload and swap over, every bullet is going to have the quality that was leeched. If you have all 3 of them, every bullet will suppress the enemy. Every bullet keeps on a 15% debuff because of weaken, and every bullet makes them volatile. And they do exactly just that. Like, really cool super animation from the light bearer here. I swap over, I pop them, they're out of it. And yeah, that works in the Crucible as well. There's going to be a small section for PvP at the end of the review. And there are ways to get all of them. Like Titan is really special because one suppressor grenade, you can get all 3 debuffs. because when you pair controlled demolition, that's the Void Titan aspect where hitting a target with a void ability makes them volatile. The fragment, Echo of Undermining, your void grenades weaken a targets, and then the suppressor. So when that suppressor lands, it will suppress them, weaken them, and make them volatile. And on that target, the first bullet that you land is going to grab all 3 debuffs. 9 bullets later, you're going to be able to switch it over. And you might be thinking, man, the other classes kind of got screwed because the Titan can do this. No, not yet. Stay with me. It's all fine, I promise. But when you switch over, you hold reload, a timer's gonna go on the screen for 10 seconds. It starts at 9, 00 counts, 10 seconds total. In that time frame, all those debuffs for every bullet is applied until the magazine is empty. And once it's spent, another timer is gonna go on the screen. Void Leech cooldown. It's also 10 seconds. And in that time frame, on the weapon itself, the debuffs are still lit up. Like right here, I have suppression and weaken. While you're in this cooldown, the weapon can't accept any debuffs. It's just a pulse rifle at this point. Maybe passively, you're gonna get the ammo regeneration from an overshield, devour, invisibility, and technically you can swap off of the pulse, come right back to it to erase that cooldown. Regardless, for 10 seconds, the gun can't do anything. And you might be thinking, that kind of sucks. That makes it bad. No, it's not. And now's where we go full circle, and I seriously still can't wrap my head around it, man. This is how this weapon is supposed to be used. Get ready, because I don't think that you are. If you played the raid, especially in the final boss encounter, you will see the leeching force buff. The buff is passed around from player to player. One has one job, one has another job. Different parts of the raid have that. And then we get to the gun itself, collective obligation. An obligation. You are morally bound, a duty, a commitment. What if I told you that this weapon is similar to Outbreak, to Malfeasance, to Rat King, and that this weapon is meant to be run as a full Void Fire team, which right now no one's having any issue with. But here's the loop. In a Void Fire team, every single debuff is going to be picked up at one point. That's why it doesn't really matter that the Titan can do all 3. Because when you think of a 3-man team, a 6-man team, there's Hunter, Warlock, Titan, all different abilities. There's Wells, you're throwing out volatile rounds. There's Weaken going on, there's Suppression going on. Here's an example of just 2 players, my friend Jingleheimer and I. On his collective obligation, he has all 3 debuffs, and he's hammering at the boss right here. As he's hitting the boss, I don't have any. My first bullet, my obligation, grabs every debuff with that bullet. So I continue to lay in 3 total bursts, that way to fully grab the buff, leech it. And again, reminder, imagine 5 other people doing this. Just like in the raid, we're passing the debuffs around, leeching them to one another. So at this time, I'm ready to go. I have all the debuffs, and at any moment, I can hold reload and apply them, and another teammate can accept them. But remember, Jingleheimer spent his buff, he's on a cooldown timer. What this weapon wants you to do is to use it for ad clear. Remember, it does 40% more damage to miners as well. You spend that buff, you're gonna be on your cooldown. While you're on your cooldown, you're using your heavy, your kinetic weapon on those targets getting hit with all the debuffs from your friends. It's no joke out there with what the enemies have on them. Volatile is great. Suppression, weaken. So no supers, no teleports. They have controlled demolition, that's extra DPS. When they explode, the constant 15% debuff. While you're on cooldown, you're using your other weapons to take out all the enemies that your friends are hitting. When your cooldown is over, you go back to shooting your obligation to pick them back up and apply them again later on down the line. So for the full 10 seconds, you're hitting everything, spinning those rounds. There's volatile rounds, so everything's exploding. The other weapons are doing the same thing or using their heavy and kinetic, switching out. That's why the weapon shows you what buffs that you had while you're on cooldown. You could tell your friends like, yeah, I'm missing weaken. Again, imagine a full fire team doing this, and with the overshields, devour, invisibility, just being thrown around. You're gonna go invis at some point from a hunter throwing smoke at his feet. You're gonna get behind a Titan barricade. Every single time that happens, the weapon's getting reloaded, even if it's stowed. And we've established the Void 3.0 is just nuts, especially with the volatile rounds. And with a full fire team, it's nonstop. You just go between the two, hitting all those targets with your heavy weapons, your rockets, your swords, whole bunch of debuffs going around, using really strong weapons, your rockets, firing line snipers, whatever it is. I still can't tell you how impressed I am with this. Even think about a GM. It's Unstoppable Pulse, by the way. Maybe there's a champion or the final GM boss. Going into the encounter, one person can load in their leeching rounds. Tell the fire team that he's firing them. The other 2 shoot 9 bullets to both grab it. And then you just rotate them out. And the target is pretty much always going to be suppressed, weakened, and volatile. The weapon's incredible, guys. Even right now, everyone is using Void. I had another obligation with me, Jingleheimer, but in the start of this Wellspring, I threw a suppressor, a random hunter, through their tether. So my first bullet of this encounter, I had all 3 of the debuffs. From then on, Jingle and I just kept leeching the buff off of each other. It's very, very strong. Like seriously, in that raid, I did the full raid with this pulse rifle. Just me. It did great. It killed ads I was debuffing, but it gets so much better with a fire team. There's also things they've built in within the raid that can add to this. There's a new perk on the raid weapons called bait and switch. Deal damage with all equipped weapons within a short time to give this weapon a damage boost. So imagine your obligation is throwing the buffs out. You shoot an enemy, just a couple bursts, 3 bursts. Your other teammates are leeching the buff off of you. You switch to your rocket, shoot the rocket, and then you bring out a bait and switch weapon. It's going to deal 20% more damage for 6 seconds on the targets that are already weakened, already volatile. And when that timer is over, it's going to be around your turn again, your obligation to start picking up the debuffs. It's incredible. You have to commit to all void. The only issue is that it's a rare weapon, but it's 100% worth everyone running it. With strong heavies, strong kinetics, it's crazy. Major props to Bungie. This is next level. Now for the Crucible, first of all, the pulse itself is great, and really, that's all you're going to be getting out of it most of the time. It's going to be rare to get the perk going because the same rules apply. On a debuffed target, you need to land 9 bullets. Maybe later on down the line, Bungie could change this, because in the Crucible, usually a target's going to be down well before that. Like, let's say you hit them with a suppressor, an Axion bolt, you're going to get like 3 total bullets on them before they're down. Your cooldown is gone, meaning you're gonna have to wait for it, try to pick up 7 bullets when you do it again, or hope to find a debuff target, which is actually kind of reasonable right now with everybody running Void, but you still have to find 9 bullets on debuffed targets. And when you do, you're gonna load in what you leeched along the way. Very difficult to do. Technically, the most forward path is going to be Omnioculus, because you have 2 smoke bombs, you're going to throw the smoke on them, at their feet, and you're going to land as many bullets as you can. If you do pull it off, you're going to get weakened on your shots. It's going to 2 burst, 33 to the head. So like I said, the weapon itself, very, very good. The only thing you're going to see benefit from really all the time is it reloading itself because of Invis, Overshield, Devour. And at any point, if you actually do get the debuff to Leech and transfer, be very proud. It's rare. In conclusion, definitely a PvE weapon that Bungie did a fantastic job with. If you're a solo player, there's small benefits. The benefits get better when you're in, let's say, a 6-man Wellspring, even a solo, because Void will be in there. You're going to be getting volatile rounds, you're going to be weakening, helping out your team, but the end goal is the full fire team. And this fire team will all have a collective obligation. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Good luck getting this weapon. Even more so, hope that your friends get it as well. I'm pulling for everyone. Let's talk about it down below. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.